Ramsay Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Ramsay Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Christy Wright, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, is my co-host today as we take your questions about your life and about your money. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Chad starts off this hour in Minneapolis. Hi, Chad. Welcome to the Ramsay Show.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Dave and Chrissy.
Sure.
So, a little backstory. Separated and divorced in 2020. Was able to, contribute to all the bills through the divorce late last year, and was able to pay off $30,000 in debt, and actually paid off all of the balance of my student loan, $7,000 this morning. So I'm officially debt free.
Good for you.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2020 was rough, but we got through some stuff. So my situation is I'm currently living in a home owned by my company for free. It's a great place. I just cover utilities. I'm sort of a pseudo caretaker of the house with no plan to need to move off of that. Through the divorce, I gained sole possession of a rental that we used to live in. We only lived there for about a year, about 7 years ago. So I'm aware of that. There's probably some long-term capital gains tax on that. I owe $45. It's worth about $105. So capital gains on that, I think, is 20% of about $12,000. I've got a great renter in there. It's actually my ex-wife's family who's living in that house. And looking at with where real estate is now, me not needing a place to live, doesn't make sense to sell the house, pay the tax, put that money that I would make on that into the market so that I have money for a down payment in the future.
Wow, there's a lot of crap going on there.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's oxymoronic to say my ex-wife's in-laws are living in it and they're great renters. These things all don't go
in the same breath. He said that in the same breath.
I know.
I've got great renters, and it's my ex-wife's in-laws.
One sentence,
Okay, great.
So, what's your definition of a great renter? They pay?
They pay. They're clean.
I'm guessing you have a good relationship, sort of good relationship.
Even through the divorce, myself and my ex-wife's family, we still get along really well. So it wasn't like this terrible this back and forth divorce. We divorced.
Chad is just a nice guy.
Like that. So.
He's a nice guy.
This
is great.
That's good.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, that's
good.
We're shocked. We're shocked, Chad, but it's good.
It's good. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's a good shock.
So you don't have a home that you live in because your company that you work for furnishes you one. You're 100% debt free. You have your emergency fund in place, or will have shortly. What is your income?
105.
Okay.
Plus a hot or cold bonus annually in February.
Okay.
So got one this year, but
so generally speaking, set aside the whole drama of the divorce and the in-laws and all that stuff, and just say, okay, we have a rental property that we owe $45,000 on. Do I sell it? I don't know why you would.
Well, so looking at let's just say 3 years out. So I'm tied to that company. Is if I were ever to
if you ever needed a house and you wanted to take the money out of that house, you could just sell it then.
Right.
So why sell it now?
Well, because it's I don't know that the house is ever going to be worth more, and
why wouldn't it be?
Could I just with the market that I'm in, it's a rural town, only about 500 people. Houses don't fly off the shelves. And I'm just looking at, would I make a better return on my money?
Is it an area of the city that is blighted? I mean, if you wouldn't buy this piece of real estate as an investment, were you buying real estate today?
It's not a great area for buying real estate as an investment.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it is. I bought it on a foreclosure.
That's not the point.
Sweat equity.
Why?
No, right,
you made a clear statement. Why? It's possible that your statement's correct. I wasn't saying you're wrong. I'm just understanding why.
You're just saying it's so rural? Like it's...
No, it's a row house. It's an inner city house,
rural.
right?
Oh.
No, it's not inner city. It's a rural.
Rural.
Yeah,
I misunderstood.
Like 500 people in the town. So small town, people are not moving there often. It's hard to move. I get it.
Only 500 people in the town.
Oh.
With no, we're the closest large city is Minneapolis. But
yeah, I probably would not buy that as a rental. Then I wouldn't disagree with you. That's
driving 20 minutes to go to Walmart.
Yeah, there's not a vibrant enough market for it to increase a lot in value, is what you're saying, because the market's not very big. So that's why you wouldn't. That's why you wouldn't buy it again. Okay.
Right.
So when is their lease up?
So I currently do not have a lease with them.
Okay.
So we've just been kind of poking along at it.
What do they pay in rent?
$700.
Is that market?
Yeah, that's market.
Okay.
The mortgage on it is
okay. Well,
like
we got to take the whole thing into consideration. I'm not worried about the in-laws because you're not, ex-in-laws because you're not. So,
right.
But if with a standard tenant in there or with them, I'm going to offer them a slight discount on the rent to stay in the property with a 30-day notice to leave, which is what they have now, and because they don't have a lease. And the discount is to keep the property sparkling clean and show ready because we're putting it on the market. If they don't want the property to be shown and they won't keep it sparkling clean for a slight discount in the rent and continue with the 30-day notice promise, then they need to go ahead and leave and you need to put it on the market.
Right. Yeah, I think that's more so. I just wanted to.
Yeah. Now, how to couch that in a conversation where it doesn't feel like you're hitting back from the divorce is an interesting discussion too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the delicate balance is that great.
So it's also okay to wait till fall to do this and let this all get a little more water under the bridge. If you want to be nice to them. If you want to be super nice to them.
Right, well, yeah. So.
I mean, but you don't need the money, and there's no rush.
No, I don't need the money. But looking at if that money was in a mutual fund, could I be looking at 10% because I'm not, obviously the longer they stay in the rental, the more in principle that's
it's completely okay to move them now, but the closer to the divorce you move them, the more they're going to interpret that as hitting back, regardless of what you say, because human beings are just going to act that way. I think. Do you think?
Yeah, I think the timing and the way that you present it is going to matter a lot.
Yeah. And, but there's no, even what you would make on it is there. Oh, and by the way, your capital gains calculation is wrong. You need to talk to your tax guy. It's not based on the equity in the house. It's based on what you paid for it minus the depreciation you've taken, which is your adjusted basis subtracting from your sale price. What you owe on it has nothing to do with the calculation.
Healthcare has gotten to be ridiculous. It puts people, on the brink. And so it would have put us on the brink had we not had CHM. CHM saved our life, saved our financial lives.
Christian Healthcare Ministries, or CHM, is not health insurance, but it is a budget-friendly option and the original health cost-sharing ministry for Christians. Get started today and check us out at chministries.org/budget.
Christy Wright, Ramsey personality, is my co-host today. Host of a major podcast movement. You ought to check it out. It's the Christy Wright Show. Go to figure. and it is absolutely exploding. Be sure you join her on there. Her devotional, A 40-Day Journey Back to You, Living True, 40 Days to Get Back to You, is a best-selling devotional that just came out back in the fall, and it has done very, very well. Thank you very much. Be sure and check that out. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. Find out for yourself why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. You get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promos they run every month, you'll save even more. Use the promo code Ramsey to get the best possible deal.
Today's question comes from Mason in Grand Rapids. My wife has a dream of starting a wedding venue on a rural piece of land, and I had the idea of combining my passion for pheasant hunting into this project. How do we fund buying the land and building a venue? I've actually gotten this question, not the pheasant hunting part, but the event venue on a piece of land or commercial space multiple times, Dave. And what I encourage people to do that have never had any experience in event planning or event hosting to figure out how to prove their concept on a smaller scale. So is there some type of event space that you can sublease to prove your concept, get your feet wet, start to build your skills and say, okay, this is what we need, this when we build, when we buy. And then you're also going to get cash in the door while you're proving the concept to be able to fund buying either the land or the building or whatever it is that you want to do. But people start with this big dream, and I love that because they have a big dream, but I want them to scale it back, say, what is a smaller version of that dream, to baby step into it, to prove it, get some cash in the door, and learn along the way.
Your point is run some kind of a freaking test market.
Yes. Yeah.
Some way to get out there and prove that you know how to do this a little bit. So, in order to open a restaurant, you do not have to build a restaurant.
Right.
You start doing catering out of your kitchen.
Right.
And then from there, once you've proven some of that, you've proven that people will eat your food and not die.
Right.
And that they want to buy it some more. Then the next thing you do is you talk about renting a defunct restaurant somewhere for little or nothing where all the equipment's in there. Only after you've been doing this a long time do you build a restaurant from the ground up. As a small business endeavor. And
you know so much more. By the time you actually do that, you know so much more about what you need, what you want, what your mistakes are.
They might not come out to the country to get married at a pheasant hunting place.
The number one thing I see people believe, one of the number one things, especially when they're starting out, is they have this idea, Dave, that if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, it's a field of dreams.
It's just not true. If you build it and you build something good and you try really hard and you chase them down and you have really good marketing and you get really smart, if you do a lot of things, you can go find them and make this work. But it's not just, I'm going to build an event space on a farm where my husband pheasant hunts and they're just going to show up. It doesn't work like that. Not online or in person, by the way. Just because you put a website up doesn't mean people are going to come to it. You have to do more than that. You have to be more strategic. So prove your idea on a smaller scale before you go buy some land.
Yeah, like be a pheasant hunt guide on other people's land or on your land with no facilities required.
Right.
A day trip type of a thing before you build a freaking lodge.
Yeah.
And so make sure you actually can find the birds, son.
Yes.
You probably know how or he wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
But and prove that other people will pay you for the privilege of hunting beside you because you're going to lead them into birds.
Yeah.
So the same thing. So I don't know. This sounds like two ideas that need a lot more work, and you're getting ready to go broke screwing around with them if you go build big buildings with debt.
Well, and here's
I can see $400,000 worth of facilities here that nobody visits.
Well, and to your point, which we didn't even hit on this, but these are two separate ideas that have nothing to do with each other other than the fact that land is involved. And Dave, one of the things I see a lot
you might be a redneck if you get married in a pheasant hunting lodge, okay?
People, because it's so easy to start a side business, which is what I love helping people do through Business Boutique. It's so easy to start something small on the side, from home, online, whatever. Well, because it's so easy, Dave, people act on all of their ideas. They start 15 businesses. They're like, oh, I do hair and I do landscaping and I walk dogs and I cook barbecue and I'm also an optometrist on the side and I do pheasant hunting and I do wedding planning. It's like, no one knows what you do. You're not known for anything. So pick one thing,
Except
do it
your
well.
Multiple personalities.
These are not related. These ideas are not related. So if you wanted to do them all conveniently, at some point, they're marketed different. You have separate markets, separate brands, separate purpose, separate time frame. No bride wants to walk down the aisle with gunshot in the background.
It's a true shotgun wedding. It's a true shotgun wedding.
It takes on a totally different meaning.
Yes, it does. Bada boom. All right. So, yeah. I mean, you could hypothetically back into ending up with an event barn on the property that had some lodging that could be used for both, but they really don't overlap.
These are
that.
not. Yeah.
I mean, you'd really have to push this. So,
Yeah.
Mason, start small somewhere else. Don't be building buildings for brand new businesses because you're wrong about what you think. The thing about business, there's 3 rules of business and they always stand true. Here they are. It's going to take twice as long as you think. It's going to cost twice as much as you think, and you're not the exception. Those are the 3 rules of business.
Good. Yep.
And so, because you get all hyped up and piped up, and I do too. I get all jammed up about my latest entrepreneurial idea that I had when I was walking this morning listening to an audio book, and I went, I can do that! So, and then all of a sudden, you figure out $1 million later you were wrong. So, take your time and proof text it.
Yep.
Find a way to test your ideas in the market. Lucinda is with us. Lucinda is in Charlottesville, Virginia. Hi, Lucinda. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Wonderful. So I am currently 10 years into my current career, for which I took out a student loan. And my student loan is currently in collections. I never really understood the difference between like default or forbearance and deferment. So now it's landed in collections. And I wonder if I can negotiate my student loan down back to like its original price.
This is a federally insured student loan?
Yes.
Okay. No. The principal balance that you borrowed is not negotiable, and the interest that has been charged on it is not negotiable. The late fees are negotiable, and any other gotcha fees other than interest and principal might be negotiable. But by and large, the most of the number that you're looking at are your principal and your interest, because you've really not paid anything on it for 10 years. What do you owe?
About $38,000.
And what do you make?
About $38,000.
Okay. All right. What do you do?
I do coding and billing, medical coding and billing.
Okay. 40 hours a week?
40, yes.
Yeah. Okay. You work for someone or a contract?
I work for someone, for a company.
Okay. Are you prohibited from taking in more work as a side job?
No, actually, I'm actually ready to do that. I had a part-time job before COVID, and then COVID came, and so I lost that job.
So if you took on 30 more hours a week of work of billing and coding, what could you make a month? About a couple grand?
Maybe a little less than that.
30 hours
maybe
a week?
Maybe a little less.
30 hours a week worth?
Bring home a couple grand in a month?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. And so 2,000 into 38, that gets us out of debt in less than 20 months, right?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've been a little hesitant to call, and speak with these people because I know once I give them information, everything will start over.
Yeah, you don't.
And
if
I don't have the money,
only reason you need to give them, you don't need to give them any information. You just need to get information on exactly what your balances are and try to negotiate away any late fees, but not the interest and the principal. The reason they won't negotiate that away is the government has guaranteed they're going to get that money from the government if you don't give it to them. So there's no reason for them to negotiate it down. But get a solid number, and then start putting $2,000 to $3,000 a month on it, and you will be done in under 2 years. You have to address this issue now. Ramsey Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today here on The Ramsay Show in the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage. Mark and Carrie are joining us, which can only mean one thing. They're debt-free. Way to go, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Our honor. So how much have you paid off?
We were $8.89 shy of $150,000.
I'm going with 150. That's a rounding error. Okay. And how long did this take you?
22 months.
Wow. And your range of income during that time?
Just over 100 to 111,000.
Cool. What do you guys do for a living?
I'm in sales, and she does the harder job taking care of the kids in the household.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Where you guys live?
Eleanor, West Virginia, near Charleston, Huntington, West Virginia.
Beautiful area of the country.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful mountains up there. Wow. Well, welcome to Nashville. Congratulations. Very well done. What kind of debt were you in? $150,000.
Well, some people would say it's dirt and some building materials, but we just call it our house. So, but
you paid off
it was
your
all
house.
mortgage. All mortgage.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow, look at it, weird people. You
Yes,
guys
sir.
are amazing. How old are you two?
Well, when we did it, one of us has since turned 36, but we were both 35 when we finished it off.
Okay. All right. Way to go, man.
Yes, sir.
And a paid-for house. What's this thing worth?
Probably 250, 275, somewhere in that ballpark.
Oh, you got no payments in the world. You're not
No,
even
sir.
40. You rock.
That's right.
Wow. Woohoo.
That's amazing, guys.
I love it. So what started this journey? Because most people don't, I mean, you're weird. I mean, most people don't think they can do this, and you just said, I'm doing it.
Well, and I guess part of that, we had a little money. We, at the end, knocked out a big chunk that we always sat on, thought it was our comfort and stuff, and finally had to get over it, putting it, where the money was going, it was still ours one way or another. But I guess going back a little while, not to get into too much of my job. I love my job and I love my bosses, but their tactic of, I guess, being a sales manager maybe was more of a doom and gloom. If we don't get this done next month, who knows what's going to happen. And I got to a point where it was like, I don't want to rely on what may or may not. I want to know what I control. And at that point, we started and went after the house. We said, we're getting this done. Mm-hmm. And if they try to use some of those, it kind of bounces off.
That's right.
Not that we're impenetrable,
A little hard to be scared when
focused.
you don't have a mortgage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like it. I like it. That's fun. So how did you guys get connected to us?
Well, this job that I was in, when I first started my career, I had kind of a small territory, and part of it was eastern Kentucky, and there wasn't too many stations down there. One of them, a little hick country station, and you happen to be on there. And,
fit right in.
Right
I thought
at
it might
home.
suit you.
Right
but,
at home.
But I ended up listening to it, and that's how we kind of got on board. And actually, I'm not a huge reader. I read some if it's something that really interests me. And actually, my wife bought me the book when I started talking about you. That kind of got us involved and kind of took it off, and we went from there. But probably on the house, we slowed down as far as we weren't totally focused. And then all of a sudden, like I said, that kind of just ignited some of those things, and we decided we're going to get after it. And here we are.
Wow. So did y'all have debt, other consumer debt before you started paying off the house when you listened to the show?
No. When early in our marriage, we did just a little bit, but it was something that I remember the first time we had a car payment a long time ago, but it was something that never sat well with us. We paid off that one, and I don't know, 10 months just because we wanted to get rid of it, and and then we never went with that and never sat on it. But like I said, we kind of got focused and honed in on the house.
Yeah,
at that
y'all
point.
been weird all along. You're just a little weirder now.
Love it.
I love that.
So Carrie, 22 months.
Yes.
You guys had to lean in and sacrifice. What was the hardest part of this?
I don't know if it was really that hard in a lot of ways, just because I'm a rule person, so having the budget was actually easier for me. And he would think, I wasn't interested, but I just would say, like, okay, what is the budget for this? What's the budget for that? And so he said it, and I just followed it. And so,
adding on to what she said, as far as I said it, she implemented it. One thing I wanted to say when I was on the stage, especially here the last few weeks, I'm not an emotional type, but I'm getting there. But I've never been so humbled in knowing what she did. When for probably the first 12 months, I didn't get it. I kept telling her, you got to be involved, because you hear the people that aren't both of them meeting. We never met, went over a budget the whole time. She didn't care to look at it. The thing is, she was more in than most people even think about being in. You know, she let me, you know, she would tell me what my budget is. And then halfway through the month, she goes, how much do we have left in groceries? I'll be like, oh, here it is. And she'd just keep it under. And very humbled by what respect and trust she put in me to lead us in the right direction. And I didn't want to fail her. And that's part of the reason I kept pushing to do it shorter and shorter and shorter. And, you know, we pushed harder to get to the point that, plus I want to do it while she was still, I mean, one of us was still 35. Or both, we both
He's
were.
wearing the older woman thing out here.
Easy. I'm older than Matt. Easy.
Come on, Carrie.
It's
Don't
only,
let him get away with that. Kick him in the shin.
It's only 10 months.
That's about how much older Sharon is than me. So I'm married to an older woman for about 10 months a year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Matt's 3 months, and he reminds me during those 3 months on the. He's like, well, one of us.
Oh, he's two. He did too. Wow. Well, it's good. It's a good trend then. All right. Well, way to go, you guys. We're very proud of you. So you have no payments in the world.
No, sir.
How does that feel?
Good.
I'll let her answer. Go ahead.
No, it's good. It's, you know, you didn't realize but it was a weight that was lifted when it was over. So it was good to be done.
Yeah. You feel free.
Yes.
You do.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it till you get there what that feeling feels like. You know, because you're working, and then when it's over, you're like, oh, it does feel lighter.
Yeah. It's almost surreal. Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Well done. Very, very well done. What do you tell people the key to getting out of debt is? What did you all do? The key things that made this possible?
To me, it was all about focus, what you put your focus on, your sights. I think you had somebody on there recently talking about putting all guns on the target. You know, we were focused on what our goal was, and I'm pretty, you know, she say I can get single track minded, you know, I get on one track and I'll follow that until the end, you know, to the station we're getting to, but just being focused on what we were going after, and that's all we cared about.
It's amazing, too, because when you started telling your story, you talked about you didn't want anybody holding anything over your head or being able to scare you with this situation or what if this happens.
Sure.
It's like, nobody has anything on you now. You've got all the power, all the options in the world.
Absolutely.
When you're debt free, it's just that's one of the things we try to help people understand. It's not just financial; it's also the sense of power and control and options that financial freedom allows. And you guys have that. Well done, y'all.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Well, as young as you are, if you just start investing just a house payment from now on, you'll be multi-millionaires.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that alone. Wow, very cool. So you changed your family tree. You brought the kiddos with you. What are their names and ages?
Go ahead, Mom.
We have Landon is 10 and Jalen is 7.
Cool.
Awesome.
So have they been practicing their debt-free scream? Do they know what we're doing?
Let's see the side on, to your right side of the stage have been practicing. Maybe the other side, not so much. But they might join us. We'll see.
All right. Very cool. Well, their family trees changed. I'm proud of you guys. We got a copy of Rachel Cruz's book for you, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, New York Times bestseller.
Great.
And hopefully that'll help you guys out as you continue on your wealth-building journey. Very, very, very well done. Good stuff. All right. It's Mark and Carrie, Landon and Jalen from Charleston, West Virginia. $150,000 paid off in 22 months, making 100 to 111. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We're debt-free!
Yeah! Oh, you gotta love it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Man, house and everything.
Everything.
At 36
Everything.
years old. Whew.
I mean, just like you said, the options, the possibilities of what they can do now this young.
Turns into
That's incredible.
a lot of money. Turns into a lot of money. When you quit making banks rich, the odd thing happens, you make yourself rich.
Yep.
It's an amazing correlation. This is The Ramsay Show. Well, if there's one thing we all know by now, you cannot invest alone. You need someone in your corner, someone in your life who knows the market, knows about investing, that can talk you off the ledge when COVID happens or whatever it is, right? Look, I love do-it-yourselfers. I'm a do-it-yourselfer, but I don't even work on my own cars anymore, and I certainly don't pull my own teeth. And I know a lot more about investing than most of you, and I don't do my own investing. I don't get caught up in some Reddit group investing in GameStop. You make rookie mistakes, you get greedy, you lose your butt, and you get into all kinds of problems. It was fun to watch. It was kind of an interesting news story for about 36 seconds, but it's not an investment strategy. Christy, I remember you and Rachel were probably little girls, and Beanie Babies were crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we consequently have
How
a
many?
lot of Beanie Babies. The grandbabies play and the dogs play with the Beanie Babies now.
My mother-in-law just gave Carter a little hedgehog. I was like, where did that come from? She was like, it's our Beanie Baby collection that was going to make us rich.
Yeah, that's it. I had people call me on the air saying, I'm moving my kids' college funds into Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies, sure.
And I, of course, was not nice to them and ripped them to shreds for being so dadgum foolish. But this is the kind of crap you do.
Yeah.
You get caught up in whatever the latest thing is. I remember, when the Iraqi dinar, we're going to buy the currency in Iraq, a failed country, which, of course, makes it a very stable currency. What a dumb butt idea. And people do stuff like this, and they put money in things they shouldn't put in that are faddish or new or what. Listen, don't do that. You're trying to build wealth. So you need somebody in your corner. And we have put together a group of people we recommend called Smart Vestor Pros, because you're a smart investor and they're the pro to help you. And they're going to teach you, and you're going to understand investing, and they're going to calm your little butt down so you don't do stupid butt stuff like Beanie Babies. Does that sound absurd? Sounds absurd. And then the second round was somebody told me that some of those Beanie Babies my dog was playing with were worth $5,000 on eBay. So I jump on eBay and they're listed for $5,000, but no one's ever sold one.
Right, sure. Listed, but doesn't actually amount to anything.
I cannot find any confirmed sale of Beanie Babies over $100 in the last decade.
You can list anything for about anything. Doesn't mean that's the value.
You can list it, yeah. My wife was looking at a piece of real estate. She goes, but they're asking, and I don't care what they're asking. It doesn't matter what they're asking. It has nothing to do with the value. You can ask anything. So text the word INVEST to 33789. If you're ready to do some investing, we'll hook you up with a Smart Vestor Pro who will give you a calm, a la boring, steady, predictable result plan, which is the way you build wealth. The tortoise beats the hare every time I read the book. The hare is running around all over the place buying Beanie Babies, but the tortoise is slow and ugly and wins. Text INVEST to 33789. One thing I'm sure of, not a single Smart Vestor Pro in the history of our involvement has recommended Beanie Babies as an outlet, okay? So other than something for your baby kids to play with or your baby dog to play with, that's simple. Text INVEST to 33789. INVEST 33789, and Smart Vestor Pro will help you get your stuff going for your baby step 4 retirement, 5 kids college, your long-term wealth building tools, all of this stuff. Preston's in Greenville, South Carolina. Hi, Preston. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, thank you.
First of all, I want to say hello to you and Christy. And I want to thank you for help saving my financial life.
Well, bless your heart. Thank you, sir. How can we help today?
Yes, sir. Well, it feels like a rhetorical question, and after hearing your debt-free scream, it's both intimidating and kind of inspirational, because the question I have is, I'm completely debt-free except for my house, and I only owe $80,000 on the house. So, and I know it may sound crazy, but I just had to ask the question anyway. In about 2 years, I could use my 401k to pay it off if I had to. But I feel like in the meantime, I could use the money that I make just to pay it off. And I was just wondering, is that a good idea more than anything else?
How old are you?
Because at 59 and a half in my state, you can use your 401k.
Okay, so
without
you're
penalty.
57 and a half, give or take.
Right. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and how much is in your 401k today?
Right about 210.
Okay, and what do you make a year?
Right at about 80,000.
Good for you. Well, you've done real well. Congratulations. Yeah. The two primary things that we found when our Ramsey team did a study of the largest study ever done on millionaires in North America, the two primary things we found that they did for their first $1 to $5 million in net worth was they got their home paid off. That was a big chunk of it. And they had a big chunk in retirement savings. So you're heading correctly on both of these issues. And so anything we can do to get that house paid off, the fastest we can get it paid off, the faster you're going to build wealth and the more wealth you're going to build. So, yeah, you're going to go ahead and pay that off in the next 2 years with your income. Sure.
Yes, that's the goal. But I was just actually, I said, well, I feel kind of silly asking you.
No, it's not silly at all. It's a good question. It's a good question. Thinking, but my point is you want a big bunch of my point is you want a big bunch of both at the end of the game. A big bunch of paid-for house and a big bunch of money piled up in your investment account when you get there. So, Christy, what we found was, and he's right on track to be there, by the way, was that these millionaires, the typical millionaire in their first in their first little bit of wealth, their first $1 million to $5 million, had about a third of it in their home was paid off. And a lot of them hit this model exactly, like a statistically significant number. And about 2/3 was in their 401k or the Roth IRA. So we find somebody with $1.5 million net worth, $500,000 paid for house, and $1 million in their 401k. And that we found that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And he's really on track to be there probably in about a decade. If he doesn't do much else. Yeah. If he gets the house paid off, that house will probably be worth $500, and his 210, he'll be adding to it during that decade, and it'll be growing and doubling on its own because he's got it invested, I hope, in good growth stock mutual funds. So he'll be right there. Yeah, the hard thing, and we've received this call so many times, or some version of it whenever I've hosted with you, but the hard thing is when you get close to the finish line, when you get close to either paying off your last debt, if it's just consumer debt, or your house, if that's the baby step that you're on, you get so antsy to do it, to be completely debt-free, that you start looking at ways to fast forward it and say, okay, how can I take money out of my retirement to get it paid off quicker, and then I'll rebuild my retirement. But that's the reason I think it's this good reminder that it's the slow and steady wins the race. You want both. You don't want to sacrifice one to be able to fast forward the other. You're still going to get there. It's not that you're not going to be able to pay off the house, but I think some people, and we've had that call even with consumer debt, should I take money out of my retirement to, pay off this last debt? And we're like, no, you want to make sure that you are still letting that money grow and not paying the penalties on it. When I went broke in my 20s, one of the things I did was I wanted to talk to old rich people. I'd been young and rich. I didn't want his opinion. Right. That didn't work out well. So I want to talk to people with no hair and gray hair that had money and talk to old rich people. And so how did you do it? And they knew what I was looking for. They knew I was looking for a magic pill. They knew I was looking for Jack and the Beanstalk. I need the beans, right? I need the magic. I need the special sauce. I need the recipe. And more than one time, I would have an old person kick back in their chair, cross their arms, and say something like, well, the best way to get rich quick is don't. Yeah. You're like, that is not what I wanted to hear. That's what do you mean, don't get rich? No, don't get rich quick. That's the best way to that's the quickest way to build wealth is don't get rich quick. Because get rich quick leads you into stupidity. The Bible says he who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. If you're in a hurry, you're not going to go unpunished. Get rich quick always leads you to broker, not to richer. Ha! There's no shortcut to any place that's worth going. It's common sense. It's not popular in an instant culture, but it's the truth. This is The Ramsay Show.
This is James Childs, producer of The Ramsay Show. Did you know The Ramsay Show is one of the most popular podcasts in the world? Subscribe or follow today wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is The Ramsay Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsay Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Christy Wright, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, is my co-host today as we take your questions about your life and about your money. Mike is in Pensacola, Florida to start off this hour. Hey, Mike, how can we help?
Hey, Dave and Christy, thanks for taking my call. How are y'all doing?
Better than we deserve. What's up?
Well, my wife and I are debt-free minus our house. We have an emergency fund. We're about to start investing in a 401k, and don't worry, we do not own Beanie Babies. So we're good. So I'm calling about our home. We're looking to relocate to a better school district and a safer neighborhood. And you know real estate, of course, and this market's crazy. I know nothing about it. So we're looking to see if we should sell now and buy later, being that we have the available funds for a down payment and we have the place to live in the interim for free. My father-in-law's house. He's being very generous. As far as future predictions, will the market go down later? Should we sell our house, go live with him, and then buy later? What are your thoughts on that?
I do not think this is a bubble.
Okay.
And that would be the only way it would go down. I think the craziness will slow and the rate of increase in prices will slow, but I don't think this is a false bubble that's going to course correct, and the house prices in Pensacola, Florida are going to go down dramatically anytime in the next decade.
Okay,
what that means is if you buy and step out of the market,
flooding the market, but
yeah, what that means is as you step out of the market, every day you wait to get back in, the prices are going up for the rest of your life.
So it's definitely not a good idea to sell now and buy later.
It's a good idea to sell now and buy now.
Sounds like it.
Nothing wrong with that, because it's an even swap. You're going to get the benefit of the heated market on the sale, and you're going to have the problem of the heated market on the buy.
So I'm curious about this, Dave, because we got some calls like this last week, and I was talking to you about this even off air. But are you thinking there's going to be any kind of dip? Because right now, like Nashville specifically, with these cash buyers coming from California, so it's so much, people are paying so much over appraisal and list price. You're not seeing that go down. You're thinking it's just going to level out and then keep going. I mean, I'm curious about this because we hear about this all the time.
The only thing that dropped in 2008 is the first time in my 35 years of having a real estate license that prices across the nation went down. Mm-hmm. It's the only time I've ever seen it was in 2008. Now, I've seen particular markets bubble up and pop, mm-hmm. and those have to do with particular things in those markets. But Florida does not have any of those issues. I don't, for instance, I'll give you an example. I don't know what's going to happen in California because there's a mass exodus. Yeah. People are leaving. There's a stream of U-Hauls going down the interstate, leaving the state as fast as they can possibly flee. And so, and they're going to Texas, Tennessee, Florida, and buying houses. And so what's that going to do to that real estate market? Yeah. Eventually, if enough of that continues, mathematics tells us that will hurt prices in California. Yeah. It hasn't yet. California's white hot. You put a house on the market, it'll sell in 3 days right now in L.A. And so it's not like all these people leaving have affected. There's dadgum many people there that, that you take a while to empty the state, And so, but they are pouring out of there for sure. And those of us that are in the markets that they are coming to know it. Yeah. I mean, we go out here at the commercial breaks right here, and I haven't been out of this room to go out and meet people at a commercial break. I don't think a single time in 5 months that I didn't meet somebody from California that's here looking at houses. Mm-hmm. I mean, every dadgum. And so that's an example of a particular market that has unique problems, in that case created by the governor. Mm-hmm. And because COVID is not worse in California than it is in Tennessee and Texas. And so it's just absolute BS. But the bottom line is, and we've seen this before in other markets where, something unique happens. A manufacturing plant shuts down, and it was that labor base was a big part of that market. Then you can see that market correct. Mm-hmm. But overall, just because it's going up does not mean it's going to come down. Matter of fact, you have a hard time proving that. I can think back, again, I got my real estate license in 1978. I have seen very few times that you've seen prices go down from where they were 4 months before and stay down for more than 20 seconds.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if it was such a unique situation because of the amount of overpaying.
Yeah, now. They're overpaying, but are they? If enough of them are
just going to set that new bar.
If enough of them are doing it, that is now the price.
That's the new bar, yeah.
And so the definition, when I went through appraisal class and when I was getting my degree in real estate, the definition of value, of market value, is what a willing buyer is willing to give a willing seller where neither party is in duress. So, in other words, if you're buying a foreclosure, that's someone in duress. You wouldn't count that in an appraisal.
Gotcha.
But if two perfectly healthy situations and they're paying a whole lot, even more than asking price, then, where we're getting multiple offers on a property and that kind of stuff, we put it on the market, you get 30 offers in a weekend, those kinds of stories are happening all over, then that is the new value.
So when people say, I'm not going to overpay for a house, they're not overpaying. That's the new...
Well, I mean, you're overpaying what it would have brought 2 months ago.
Right.
And you're overpaying what it would have brought Monday.
Yeah.
But by Tuesday, I don't know.
Yeah,
because these prices are being driven up by this supply.
Yeah.
Because what has happened is with the lumber shortage, it's driven the price of lumber up. The cost of new housing is going up. New housing is also harder to get out of the ground. And so we have an inventory problem. And so anytime there's a shortage of anything and there's more people chasing that thing than there is thing, that's a supply-demand curve from the 7th grade economics class. It drives price up.
Yeah.
That even works with Beanie Babies. When too few people, when a big bunch of dollars are chasing too few things, then those things go up. Anything that has scarcity, in other words, you'd always see the price go up. And so what will happen is this market will calm down as the inventory gets rebuilt. As the lumber factories get to making lumber again at the same pace or an increased pace to offset this, and the prices come back, or they at least the lumber prices will come back down. That I do think, but that's not going to necessarily affect real estate values overall. So anyway, yes, I don't have any problem with you buying right now or selling right now, but I would do both of whatever you're going to do.
Not get out of the market.
Whatever you're going to do. I mean, it's. I'm enjoying watching the real estate that I own go way up in value. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of like it. So, and that's the stuff. So, my goodness. But yeah, that's what I would do. I think it's time for you to move, sir. And I would buy when you move. This is the Ramsay Show. Hey folks, I got a great option to help you pay for your education. The Army National Guard. The Army National Guard believes you are the next greatest generation because you have proven that even in adversity, that you have what it takes to succeed. That's why they offer benefits like tuition assistance, career training, and a paycheck to help you avoid debt. No matter what your goals are, the Army National Guard can help you get there. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Nick is with us in New York City. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hey, Dave, Christy. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
So I'm feeling a little stuck because of prices in New York City. So I'm 24 years old, just started working as a software engineer about 6 months ago, and right now I live in my grandmother's house. She's graciously allowed me to live here for almost nothing since college, which I really appreciate. But I'm definitely ready to move out. So what I want to do is buy a condo with that 20% down to avoid PMI, but because of prices in New York, I'm not sure if I'll be able to afford that down payment for another 3 years, or if I rent with friends, that would just push the savings goal further down the road. So I need a little advice on what I should do there.
What are you making?
So it's going to be about 100 gross, and it's $6K per month after taxes.
Yeah, not bad for 24, man. Well done. Got a great career ahead of you. You're obviously not only a software engineer, you're obviously a good one. Well done. Very cool. Yeah, you are in a very, very expensive real estate market, at least for now. I don't know that it will remain that way. I think delaying buying in New York City would be a real good idea right now, because that is one of the markets that we may see some price adjustment because of the collapse of so mmany businesses in the area, and the collapse of the economy in the area, and and the number of people leaving the market. So I personally would not be in a hurry to buy there, and so I think saving some money is a good idea. And how did you end up? Where are your parents? How'd you end up at your grandmother's?
So my family lives in Georgia, but my grandmother has a house in New York, and it was easy for me to get to college, if I lived up here. So, everything just worked out for me to stay in New York.
But she lives in the same home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Half the year, this is her summer house. She goes back to the Caribbean, for half the year. So right now she's enjoying the warmth down there.
Okay, so you have 6 months a year that she's not there, roughly, give or take.
Right, but we do have other tenants in the house. So some of the rooms are being rented, and it's I do live with people. It's I'm ready to get out on my own, at 24, and kind of start life for myself. So
okay, go rent you something. It's not gonna delay you that much. Your career is not. 3 years from now, you're not gonna be making $100,000 anymore. You're gonna be making more, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, considerably more. You should be on a pretty heavy uptick. I don't know, Christy, what are you thinking?
Well, it's whenever people ask questions about should I do this and it's some type of sacrifice, it's it's not bad that you're living there, but you said yourself you're ready to move out and you're 24 years old. You're a young man. You want independence, and I don't blame you. So to Dave's point, it's not going to set you that much back financially whenever you're ready to buy. You wouldn't buy right now anyway. And then in the meantime, for those 3 years, you have the dignity of your own place and doing your own thing and paying a little bit of rent. And I think it's going to be worth it on the journey to you to get to be out on your own. So there are some sacrifices that's yeah, let's make this sacrifice because we're going to be able to save some money. There's other ones hey, this isn't going to set us back that much, but it's going to give us the independence and dignity along the way, and that's worth it. And I think this is one of those things. I think you're ready for it.
You need to find something fairly inexpensive to rent. We're not trying to spend a whole bunch of money here, because the more you spend on rent, the less you're going to have for a down payment. So that part of your equation is actually correct. But is it going to slow you down or keep you from buying because you came out and got a rental? No. So I'm going to look for something inexpensive. We're not trying to make a statement with your rental property quite. If you do make a statement, the statement is I'm cheap.
That's the statement you're going for.
Yeah, it's not the I'm cool. Don't make an I'm cool statement with where you go to live, all right? And don't justify it, and don't rationalize it, and don't go, well, it's close to work, and don't give me all that crap. Because the more you spend on rent, the less you're going to have for the down payment, or the longer it's going to take you to buy. And we don't want to do that. But I think it's worth it for you to, just in your personal development, to go ahead and make that move. I agree with Christy. So, hey, thank you for the call. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Also in New York City, Mike is with us. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, better than I deserve, Dave. Thank you.
Sure. How can I help?
Sure. So I have a question for you. I did something a few months ago that I know you would advise against, but it was before I found your podcast, so don't be mad at me.
I'm not mad at you. It didn't hurt me.
That's true. So I did a cash out finance when the rates went real low, and I was able to drop my mortgage rate over a full point. And I figured, hey, while I'm at it, why not take out some extra cash to have? But, now I have this extra debt that I have to carry. So my question is, should I go ahead and repay this thing back and pretend like it never happened? Or should I try to invest it? I got it at a pretty low rate. I'm just trying to see what I should do with it.
Well, I agree with you. I wouldn't have done that, but now we're there. So we're not going to, that's water under the bridge. That milk is spilled. Right. So you're out of debt except this home?
No, I'm on baby steps 4, 5, and 6.
That's what I mean. You're out of debt except the home.
Yep.
And you've got your emergency fund in place, and you're already putting 15%, not counting this money. And so regardless of where the money came from, if you have a pile of money and you're in 4, 5, and 6, you would say you're going to use it on 4, 5, and 6. 4's underway. Do you have children?
Yes.
Okay. Is there college fund underway?
Oh, yeah, it sure is. Still saving towards it, but I have a good amount for them saved.
Okay. Then baby step 6 is pay off the house early, right?
Right, exactly.
And so we would use, if you got a bonus equal to the amount in your savings in excess of your emergency fund, you would throw it at the house, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. You're right.
So I just throw it at the house.
Yeah, the problem with, my thing was the closing costs were about $20,000. So I feel like I'm just basically, kind of throwing that money away.
Every time I do something stupid and it costs me money, I call it stupid tax.
Yeah.
But you can't get that money back.
No, that's true. I just, what I did was I put the money in a mutual fund for now to try to let it grow a little bit while I had it.
It doesn't matter. That's not a path that people use to build wealth. It doesn't work. And so I've never talked to a millionaire who said I borrowed on my house as much as I could possibly borrow my entire life, and I refinanced it often and took cash out and put it in a mutual fund, and that made me rich. I've never talked to a single millionaire that told me they did that.
Yeah.
So it's not a methodology that works. So even though it's a very costly mistake, that cost is you can't undo the cost. So the only question is now, do you want to invest in mutual funds, or do you want to work our plan and work your baby step 6? That's the only question you've got. And then you've got to decide that. But if it was me, obviously my plan, the thing we teach here at Ramsey, is we would put excess cash that you've got, that's non-retirement funds from any source, onto the house and pay it off as soon as possible.
Well, and Mike, I think you know that. I think you know that probably by listening to the show. And what I would guess, Dave, and maybe this is just a hunch, but sometimes I've done this in my life with when I've made a mistake with money, is I resist doing something that's going to make me face the fact that I lost that money. So it's like putting it back on the house makes me kind of face the fact that it's the $20,000.
Yeah.
So I'd rather put it over here because then I can sort of sideways justify that it wasn't totally.
I think I figured out a way to make this okay.
Turn the other way and pretend that $20,000 didn't happen. If I put it back on the house, it's like, I've got to totally face it. Let's just face it, Mike. It happened. Bite the bullet. Put it on the house and just
rip
move on.
the Band-Aid off. You're right. You're right. That's exactly what it is. It's emotionally. You got to admit it. But it's like when the car's gone down in value, I don't know whether to sell it. Well, it's gone down in value.
Either way.
When you sell it, you admit it.
Right.
You know,
you have to face
that's it. That's the same kind of thing. That's the same issue exactly. You nailed that. Well done. This is the Ramsay Show. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. I am Dave Ramsey, your host. This is the Ramsey Show. In the lobby of Ramsey Solutions, on the debt-free stage, Nathan and Allison are with us. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Great. If you're on the debt-free stage, it must mean you're debt-free. How much did you pay off?
We paid off $124,000.
Way to go. Mm-hmm. How long did this take?
About 30 months.
Good for you. And your range of income during that time?
So we started at about $70,000. That was Nate when he graduated, and then I graduated, and it was about $120,000. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up door dashing on the side, and then I picked up a lot of extra hours at my job, and then we ended at about $140,000.
Wow,
Awesome.
Doubled your income.
Yeah,
with all that, the door dashing, the extra hours, hard work, everything. What do you guys do for a living?
I'm a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a mechanical engineer.
Very good. Two great careers. And, yeah, you do have the ability to pick up some extra work, particularly during this 30 months. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yep.
Cray time. Yeah, wow. What kind of debt was the $124,000?
It was mainly student loans, and then included in that, we had a small credit card loan and then a small car loan.
Okay. So what started this whole journey?
So back in college, as I was getting ready to graduate, I got a new internship at the job I'm currently working at. So with that internship, it included some benefits, and some of that was, like a 401k plan and things like that. Quickly realized I don't know anything about investing or money management. And so went to Google, said, I got to learn more about this kind of thing. So found your guys' program, started listening to it. And the more I listened to it, I started making more sense. I followed the baby steps, and quickly realized, oh my, we're doing this out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're jumping out of order by trying to jump into investment. We got to tackle these loans before we dive into that. So with that, we followed the baby step plan. Started, we wanted to live like a, broke college kid,
Mm-hmm.
Could keep living like that while we made our new income. So, So I introduced that to Allison, and then she had some thoughts of her own on that.
Yeah, I was not really on board. So I had heard of you. Actually, I remember in high school, my parents at the time were taking FPU, and all I had heard was your name, and that they had mentioned they were never going to co-sign a loan for any of us kids. And I was like so sad. I was like, who is this Dave guy? Like, I do not like him. And then that's the only thing. That's the only thing that I'd heard about you.
I love it.
So then when Nate had mentioned it, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, everything I've heard about him is terrible. Like, but then he started showing
he punishes
me.
people.
Yeah, like, oh my
All he
gosh.
says is no.
Yeah. So he started trying to convince me, and it took some time, but I realized that you're not all that bad. So
How many people have that story, Dave? A lot of people.
There's a lot. Yeah. To know me is to love me, but from a distance, it's a problem. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yep, that's awesome. What was the hardest part? Like, once you decided to commit, y'all are both on the same page. What was the hardest part about making that change?
I feel like for probably both of us staying focused, we have both started this as soon as we graduated. So all of like our friends from college were like starting their jobs, making more money. And when you make more money, you want to buy a house, buy a car, all that stuff. Yeah. And it's very easy for us to want to do that too. But we realized that was not the end goal. And yeah, staying focused for sure.
Yeah, and just remembering, like I said, that just to be patient and focused, that, we didn't get into this debt overnight. We picked it up. It's not going to just disappear overnight either. So we're in the business of crock pots, not microwaves. So
there you go. How long y'all been married?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, so you started this process.
So we were engaged, and he kind of did it on his own for a little bit, and then I got on the page after that.
Yeah,
so
which made him an unfun date.
Yeah.
One more time that Dave Ramsey caused her to be denied something. I love it. That's great. Way to go, you guys. I'm so proud of you. How's it feel?
Feels good.
It feels weird still. Like, it's we live like broke college kids for so long, and I feel like it's hard to remember, like, hey, if you want to get that more expensive thing, it's okay now because you're debt free. Like, you can do that.
Yeah, we got some room in the budget too.
Yeah, yep.
Because you're both making really good money now.
Right.
And when you started this process, you were just starting your careers, and you hadn't even entered the nursing world yet.
Yeah.
So pretty incredible. So now you're sitting with a $100,500 income probably from this point forward, and no payments in the world. You'll be able to do whatever you want to do, right?
Yes, sir.
I love it. Well, congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
All right. So when people ask you, how'd you do that? What do you tell them the key is?
To remember the end goal, and to let anything, like, it's short term. So there is an end, and you can do it. And that anyone can do it.
It's not a way of life.
Yeah. Yep.
It's live like no one else so that later I can live and give like no one else. Yeah.
Yep, and just staying focused on that budget. You create a plan, come up with a plan, and part of that plan is probably going to include a budget, and sticking to it and holding yourself accountable.
Yeah. Well, both of you are in career fields where, you enter a process of some kind, whether it's a prescription, a pharmacology thing, or whether it's a series of mathematical formulas that cause a bridge to be able to stand up, or what you said mechanical engineering, but
correct.
Maybe not. But I mean, you still, you get a result from having done a certain thing.
Yep.
And so following a plan to get the positive result is both how you're both trained academically, right?
Yep.
So it's easy. It's easy in that regard because it's just the way your brains are wired up. Yeah. So now you just apply it to the next thing, right?
Yep.
And see how wealthy we can become and how generous we can become. It's going to be so awesome. You guys are incredible. So,
Great job.
So what are you, 27, 28?
We're 26.
26.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
And completely debt-free. Way to go, guys.
That's
who
amazing.
was your biggest cheerleaders?
Our parents, but to be honest, we didn't have a lot of cheerleaders. A lot of people looked down on us, honestly, and thought that this was weird.
It is.
So many people told us, like, you guys are so young. You're never going to be debt-free, first off. Like, why would you even want to be debt-free? Like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
And I feel like we would go home and talk about it together, and it would almost get us more fired up, like, this is going to happen. And now it happened, and it's awesome to say that. And
That's right. And all those people that have all those payments, you don't have those payments. All those people that thought you were crazy, they get payments you don't have.
Yeah, they're going to start coming around now wanting to know how you did it.
Can you teach us how to do that? Yeah, that's what they're going to say.
That's the next thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, mom and dad who refuse to co-sign for any loans
They
because
are
of financial
super excited about this right
they're
now.
going touchdown, baby, touchdown.
Yep,
They're like,
very
welcome
proud.
back. Welcome back.
I love it. Well, well done, you guys. Very, very well done. We got a copy of Rachel Cruz's book, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, her latest New York Times bestseller. And it is an incredible book. You'll enjoy it. So we're so proud of you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. It's Nathan and Allison, Rockford, Illinois. Wow, $124,000 paid off in 30 months, making 70 up to 140. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free! Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Awesome. Congratulations, you guys.
I love it.
That's amazing.
The Bible says no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but it yields a harvest of righteousness. The ability to delay pleasure for a greater good. Living like no one else so that later you can live and give like no one else. Adults devise a plan and follow it. Children do what feels good. There's emotional maturity to people who learn how to sacrifice for a greater goal.
And there's such a theme today in this slow and steady, this sticking with it, focusing over time, sticking with it, sticking with it, sticking with it, and how it pays off. It's not this quick win. It's not this all of a sudden you flip a switch and it's easy. There's not a magic pill like we've talked about in business or finances or life. But if you stick with it, then you yield the results, the harvest of righteousness we're talking about. We're talking about whether it's in your finances or even in your character. Over time, the discipline pays off.
Well, and it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
It becomes
gets
your
easier.
new way of living.
It gets easier. That's
'Cause
right.
It drills new grooves in your brain.
That's right.
And you have a whole different, the neuroscience backs it up, you know? So it's just beautiful. Well done, you guys. They can do anything now.
Yeah. 26.
Yeah, they can do anything
26.
now. This is the Ramsay Show. Doing your taxes sucks. But what makes it even worse is that trusted brands like TurboTax are actually screwing you with shady sales and marketing tactics that are designed to put more of your money in their wallet. So we decided to expose this 800-pound gorilla in an all-new podcast called The Fine Print, the hidden truth to keeping you broke. Now, this podcast, The Fine Print, is going to be done ever so often. George Campbell and I do the first one. We're going to pull back the curtain on TurboTax and show you exactly how they're taking advantage of you. Plus, we'll teach you a better, easier way to do your taxes, one that keeps you from going deep in debt. Now, here's the thing. The Fine Print, the new podcast called The Fine Print, is going to constantly be doing exposés on these industries that are screwing people. And we're going to dig into them. It's our little investigative reporting arm here, and we're going to dig into these things and show you what the fine print says. And you can get a sneak peek of the first episode in the Ramsay Show podcast feed on Spotify, the Ramsey Network app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So we're going to give you a little sneak peek, and then we'll do the official launch of the Fine Print podcast, the new podcast that we're doing from Ramsey Networks called The Fine Print. Because that's the old saying, they get you in the fine print, right?
Yep, and no one reads it.
Yeah.
The other thing about the tax companies is I think a lot of the average consumer looks to tax companies to say, oh, well, this is a trusted source. This is someone that is objective. They're going to help me. They're experts in money, taxes, whatever. And they then look to them for advice. They get bad advice. They make bad decisions. And they don't realize what's going on behind the scenes. So I think this is so powerful that you guys are pointing this out and teaching people this.
Yeah. Well, they sell a lot of loans.
Yeah, and they don't. But the average person,
they're in the lending business more than the tax prep business. Tax prep business is just front door.
But when someone's coming there, they're not on guard against it. Is what I'm saying.
The point,
Versus like a credit card company, you'd be more on guard against, and so it happens so sneakily, and so
it's like,
you don't see it happening. Oh, they're just helping me. Oh, this is what I need to do. They're showing me what I need to do, and this is what I need to do. No, that's not what you need to do. It's a terrible plan.
All in the fine print. Brian is with us in Rochester, New York. Hey, Brian, welcome to the Ramsay Show.
Hey, thanks for your wisdom. Really appreciate all that you do.
Our pleasure. How can we help?
So I'm in kind of a conundrum, and I wanted to get your advice. I have about $98,000 in cash on hand, $150,000 in a retirement account. 51 years old. I owe $61,000 on my business mortgage. And that's the only debt that I have other than a couple of car loans. And I'm wondering if I should pay off the business debt or invest that money into my retirement. I'm afraid that I just don't have enough saved for retirement.
What do you make?
Our bring home is around 75.
Okay. How long you had the business?
Too long.
Okay. What's that mean?
That means 29 years.
I mean, too long. I mean, like you don't want it anymore? What do you mean?
Well, just kind of burned out on it.
What are you going to do with it?
I mean, at this point, really my only choices are to either sell the real estate and go into other ventures or just continue doing what I've been doing. And
how old are you?
51.
What's your business?
It's retail.
What burns you
Retail
out? What
sales.
burns you out?
Just 29 years of doing it and not being as far as I thought I should be at this point.
The $75,000 your income, or does your wife also work outside the home?
That's combined.
What does she make?
Right around, bring home is right around 15.
Okay, so she works part-time.
No, she's full-time, but a lot of the money goes towards health insurance.
Okay. Well, there's several things. I'm going to answer several questions that were not asked. I'm not going to be 51 and be going, for the next 20 years till I'm 71, I'm going to work a business that I'm sick of and that I don't make much money at. Why would you do that? What's the real estate worth?
Probably around 200.
Yeah. I think you'd be better off being a landlord and get a job. Or you'd be better off starting another venture of some kind, like you said. What would you do, Christy?
Renting.
Yeah, I think you have an opportunity to rethink things. And you called in about paying your mortgage, paying off a debt, but there's a bigger question at play. To your point, Dave, I'm going to answer questions you didn't ask. I think that the assumption that you have to keep doing this and be unhappy when you're 51 is not an accurate assumption. I think you have an opportunity to say, what do I want to do with the next 20 years, 30 years? And this is obviously not the path. So what do you want to do? Well, that's going to help answer the question of what you do today with your business, with your money, with your debt, etc. But don't just make a decision today based on, well, I've got this debt, I've got this cash, I guess I should pay it off, and just keep plugging along, going through the motions in your life. You're not happy. You're not making great money at it. What you want to be doing, what you're proud of, what you're excited about. You can hear it in your voice. You're not excited about it. So what would excite you? What would you do if you could do something different?
So I have the money that the $100,000 that we have cash on hand. We've earned by flipping some houses, some real estate that we've bought and held and rented and then sold in an up market, and that's what really kind of motivates me. It's really where kind of my heart is.
Cool.
And I can do that anywhere, and that's the luxury that we have, is we can kind of go anywhere. Our house is paid off. So we have.
So the real estate that's worth $200,000, is that what the 61 is owed on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and the business has absolutely no value, you don't think?
I just don't think it does. It's retail, floor covering, and there's in a 30-mile radius, there's probably 20 to 25 different locations.
Yeah, but a competitor wouldn't want another location in your area?
They may buy our customer list, but that's about the extent of it, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I'm underselling it.
Well, make sure of that before you undersell it, because you're burnt out, so you're looking at it with those eyes. You're looking at it with burnout eyes. There's someone else may look at it and see value in it. So
I would
before
talk
you write
to a
that off,
competitor under a non-disclosure agreement that says they can't talk about it. But I would talk to a competitor that you think is that's doing well, that is excited in the market, and just say, hey, if I was to, if you were to look at this, how would you value it? And would you consider it? And let's just you don't name a price, and you don't walk around with your lip stuck out. You say, just poking around here. I'm really not that interested in selling, but I might if the price was right. And I want to know what the kind of a number you'd put on it. And then maybe he's going to offer you something that makes your jaw drop.
Okay.
And then sell the real estate and put $140,000 with your $100,000 and do flips.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having fun now.
Yeah, I mean, so my biggest concern is the lack of retirement at 51.
You're going to be fine if you're flipping houses and making money. You can invest it.
Right.
You got all kinds of time to invest if you just get with it. But
right,
dude, truthfully, you're burn up. And just your voice tone even doesn't have energy.
It changed when you started talking about the houses.
Yes, the first time we heard energy in your voice.
Yes, your voice audibly changed, and when you talked about that,
no, you're right.
You can hear it.
And that's what's also gonna fix the retirement thing. It's not slogging it out here on something. Now, if you were making $250,000 a year on this business and it was going to take 4 years to sell it or something, I'd slow your butt down, tell you to suck it up and man up and get it done. But this thing, you need to roll out of this in the next 6 months, and then you need to put that commercial property on the market. And you need to start flipping houses and take some of that flip money and invest it, fully fund your retirement, and you're going to have plenty of retirement, and you're going to make some money, and you're going to have fun again. That's exactly what I'd do. And I'd pay off the cars today. That puts this hour of the Ramsay Show in the books.
Hey guys, this is Kelly, associate producer for The Ramsay Show. Did you know that over 16 million people listen to The Ramsay Show every week? And a lot of those people listen on one of our 600-plus radio stations across the country. To find a station near you, head to daveramsey.com/show.
This is The Ramsay Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsay Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I am Dave Ramsey, your host. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. We're here answering your questions about your life and your money. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Dave is with us in Huntington, West Virginia. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the Ramsay Show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Sure.
Love listening to you guys, and I appreciate your brutal honesty. So,
well, thanks.
That's his specialty. We are here for you.
It would be brutal to be dishonest.
No, I appreciate you guys. Hey, I'm a W-2 employee at the VA Medical Center in Huntington. Love that job and work in the medical field, and also staff surgery centers with anesthesia under a 1099. Maybe a crazy questions, but I put off the taxes till the end of the year on my 1099, and whatever my account says I owe, I put into my SEP instead. Crazy, not crazy?
Won't do it. Your SEP is only a deduction. It's not a tax credit.
Okay, that's all righty.
So when if you put $10,000 in your SEP, it doesn't save you $10,000 on taxes. If you put $10,000 in your SEP and you're in a 30% tax bracket, it saves you $3,000 on taxes. So you're still going to owe $7,000 in taxes.
I appreciate that. Yep. Okay. So you advocate obviously paying the quarterlies and.
Yes. Yeah. You're going to be penalized and fined if you do not pay your quarterlies anyway. Now, what you can do if you want to just calculate it is the 1099 steady? Is it predictable?
Yes. Yes.
You could just up your withholding on your W-2 job for enough to cover it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And so, let's say, what do you make at your 1099 job a year?
Well, there's four business partners. We probably got an AR of $750,000 to $1 million.
I'm sorry, you make $750,000 1099 income?
No. Our AR is I misunderstood the question. No, mine is probably 80. My cut would be $80,000 a year on that.
On the 1099 alone.
On the 1099, yes.
Yeah, so you have $80,000 that you have not paid taxes on if you don't file your quarterlies. Okay, and what do you make at your W-2 job?
Right at $200,000.
Okay. All right, so let's just say the taxes, I'll just make up a number. When you sit with your tax person and they say the taxes on the $80,000 is $24,000. Okay?
Okay.
Then you would just increase your W-2 by $2,000 a month, which is $24,000 a year, and then you would have already paid your taxes on your 80, and you would not be susceptible. I don't think, ask your tax person, but I don't think you'd be susceptible to a penalty at that point. But if you've made 80 more than 2 years in a row and you don't pay quarterlies or you don't somehow have proper withholding done, you're going to be penalized for not doing your quarterlies. And just saving it up and paying it at the end of the year is not an option. It is an option, but it's an expensive option to use. So you need to get a good tax pro in your corner and either do quarterlies or do what I'm talking about if you don't get penalized the way I'm talking about. I'm not positive about that part of it, but that's another way to handle the math. Philip is with us in Spokane. Hi, Philip. Welcome to the Ramsay Show.
Thanks for having me.
Great. How can I help?
Yeah, so I'm looking at a new job opportunity that's starting here soon, and the new job, they are exempt from Social Security, so I don't contribute, they don't either, which I'm kind of happy about. And they take the portion that I would contribute to Social Security and they put it into a state pension. And then I would continue to do my 15%, which I've been doing at my previous job, into my Roth as well as 401k. Do I need to worry about not getting Social Security at all and then adjusting a little bit extra into retirement, or am I good just doing 15 and then letting them dump the money into the pension?
You're good with that part. Because here's the thing. You've already paid into Social Security. You're going to get some, but Social Security has a negative rate of return. You never get out as much as you put in, much less any interest.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so, but if you've already been paying in for several years, you're going to get something upon retirement.
Yeah, that's what they told me too. Yeah, they said you'll get based off what you paid the last 15 years in the workforce, and then you'll just stop paying into it.
You'll probably get the full amount or close. I mean, by the time you get to 65. But so if you stay in this job till 65, and you put in 15%, that's going to end up being your biggest, by far, your biggest return, not the pension and not Social Security.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do it. Thanks, man. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Robert is in Nashville. Hey, Robert, how can we help?
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
So I'm teaching a financial literacy class to a youth group at church, middle school, and the curriculum has been given to us of what we are to teach. And part of the curriculum is teaching the individuals how to go into debt, basically how to borrow money and use credit wisely. And I'm kind of morally torn about teaching that portion of the curriculum, but it's kind of mandatory. So how do I go about doing that and still feeling morally right about it?
Have you talked to anybody about it?
No, you're the first ones.
Well, I mean, okay, let me ask you this, because I don't want to assume something. Is this a church, a Bible-believing church?
Yes.
Okay, so they don't think that the Bible is allegory. They are a Bible-believing church.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yes, they are a Bible-believing church. Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
So, if you were to sit down with the people at the church and go, it says nowhere in Scripture, not a single place does it say a positive thing about debt. It is wrong for us to use in a church that believes the Bible to be teaching teenagers to go into debt, and the proper way to do that when the Bible doesn't teach that.
Right.
What kind of a reaction would you get?
I would probably get a positive reaction, but, they chose the curriculum, and, it was a book written by whomever that we're working out of. So I'm thinking about just actually leaving that whole portion out of the curriculum.
Well, how about we'll give you some curriculum for free?
Okay.
Yeah, don't sidestep it, Robert. I mean, not from a communication standpoint, not from a curriculum standpoint. Like, this is a great opportunity for you to communicate, exactly like Dave said, what the Bible says about this, and lead up in your organization about this topic of finances. And you don't come in like a bulldozer, pointing fingers, placing blame. You're saying, hey, here are my convictions. Here's what I've studied. Here's what I believe. Here's a curriculum that is proven, that is biblically based. Here's what it says in the Bible. And you have all these different angles that you're able to communicate and have a conversation. You could lead to actual change in your church versus just leaving that lesson out.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you're going to do it or not, but I'll offer you curriculum for free to teach them out of our high school curriculum. I'll have Kelly pick up and get your contact information, and if you want it, and we'll teach that instead, we'll give it to you. And that'll solve the problem. But I think you need to sit down with leadership, because leadership's not making a good call here. And it's not a matter of being mean about it. It's just being kind and open, and conflict in a healthy organization is a good thing. This is The Ramsay Show. What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings. Nearly 30 years ago, we started this show on a tiny little bankrupt radio station here in Nashville. We talked about the same stuff that we talk about now. We sounded a little more country. Living on a budget, getting out of debt, building wealth. About 15 years ago, a guy walked into my office that was working for us, and he was kind of one of these mad scientist type guys. And he said, we need a podcast. And I said, what's a podcast? And nobody had a podcast. And he said, you need a podcast. I said, we don't need a podcast. I never even heard of a podcast. Why do I need a podcast? And we talked about it and laughed about it. And we figured out we could start one. It wasn't that the heavy lifting that we could basically take this show and put it on a podcast, the radio show that we were doing every day anyway, what we call sawdust in the business. It's the stuff you're making anyway. You might as well use it for repurpose it for lots of different things. We also put it on Sirius XM, and we also put it a lot of other places over the years, YouTube now, that kind of stuff. But what's interesting is the Ramsay Show is one of the top podcasts in the world, if you didn't know, consistently ranking in the top 4, 5, 6 podcasts on Apple. And we have become the 5th show in history about a week ago. There's only 4 other shows that have done it before us, and we're the 5th show in history to now have had 1 billion downloads of this podcast.
It's incredible.
That's mind-blowing.
We said when that slide went up this morning in our staff meeting, I mean, I can't wrap my head around that.
Our they couldn't cheer because they couldn't get their mouth closed.
Yeah.
They were jaw dropped.
Yeah.
1 billion downloads of this podcast. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. And only 4 other shows have done it, and there's obviously the 4 of the 5 or 6 shows that are bigger than this show and do a great job as well, obviously in the podcast world. And what's interesting is over the years we've added up. Every year we add up what the debt-free screams have done and how much they have paid off, and we've added that up now, and now we've helped callers just on air do debt-free screams for over $500 million, and that's just the on-air debt-free screams, $500 million.
That's just the ones we know about.
Yeah, and so what that means is it's at least 10x that, and pretty crazy. So subscribe and follow the Ramsay Show podcast, and apparently you won't be by yourself.
Yeah.
On Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out all the podcasts in the Ramsey Network. Rachel Cruz, Ken Coleman, Anthony O'Neill, Christy Wright, Dr. John Deloney, the new one, The Fine Print that's coming out, Borrowed Future, the famous podcast on the student loan, epic failure of the student loan system, and pretty stinking incredible. So check it all out at DaveRamsey.com, and anywhere great podcasts are, you can find the Ramsey Network, and of course this being the flagship show of that. And so again, 1 billion downloads. Thank you guys out there so much. You guys have blessed us, telling your friends about it, obviously, and listening yourself, and I'm glad we've been able to help you and serve you to that level. It's pretty amazing to us. It blows my mind. I can't even calculate what that means.
Yeah.
1 billion downloads. 1 billion. Wow. Mike is in Indianapolis. Hey, Mike, welcome to the Ramsay Show. How can Christy and I help?
Hi. So this is kind of surreal talking to you on the phone.
It's okay. We're glad you're here, brother.
With my family, but I need to hear it from your lips.
Okay.
Over the last year, my wife and I have paid off all of our debt with the exception of the mortgage and $8,000 in student loans.
Okay.
Since then, we have been able to put about $18,000 in the bank just because I was off for COVID for 7 weeks and it scared us.
Okay.
Now we need some upgrades to our house, including new windows. We bought a 45-year-old house. Windows are original to the home, but I still have $8,000 in student loans. Do I write the check and get rid of them and then do the improvements to the house, or can I go ahead and give my wife new windows?
Well, you know the answer. You know the
You
answer.
tell us the answer, Mike. Why
What's
don't
the
you
answer, Mike?
Tell us.
What's the answer, Mike?
The biggest problem is that in the winter, where we live is so rural, we have propane heat, and the windows leak so bad that it cost us.
Yeah. How long have you lived there?
6 years.
Wah.
I know.
By the way, this is what month?
But it's still cold up here.
I know.
So on.
It's not going to be cold, but another month.
Right.
So this has nothing
We're
to
not
do.
even heading into
this
winter.
Has not going to work, Mike.
Okay.
Now,
So
by the way, what do the windows cost?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, how much are the windows? Because how much have you got in savings?
$18,000, and the windows are going to cost $6,500.
Okay.
To do
So
the whole
what is
house.
your emergency fund fully funded? What should it be? 3 to 6 months of expenses.
3 to 6 months of expenses should be at 3 months. We would be right around $6,000. We live very lean.
Okay, so 18 minus 8 is 10, minus 6 for your emergency fund, leaves 4. Why can you not have the windows in by next fall?
I don't know.
What's your household income?
Because so it's just me. We homeschool our kids.
What's your household income?
Take home is $43,000.
Mm-hmm.
But that also includes I have a company car, and the company pays for all of my vehicle maintenance,
That's
gas,
nice.
everything. So I don't have a travel budget for work.
Very nice. Okay. Well, so, but I mean, I think you ought to put in windows by the fall. And I think you're going to have an emergency. I think you're going to pay off your student loan today. You keep your emergency fund aside, and anything above your emergency fund will drag over to a different savings account, and that's the window savings account. You take on an extra job, you have a garage sale, you do whatever else to have the difference and have your windows ready to purchase before it gets cold.
You know, I think, Mike, I think COVID scared y'all a little bit. I think you stocked up this cash of $18,000. I think you liked having the cushion of $18,000, and now the thought of spending some of the $18,000 on windows or your debt scares you because you like having the $18,000. And I just want you to know you're going to be okay. You can pay off your loans. You can get your windows. You can refill your emergency fund. You're going to be okay. It's going to be lower than you're used to because you're used to having this $18,000, but you have it for that reason, to use it for things you need, and you need this. You need to pay off your loans, and you can get those windows by fall, and you're still going to have money for your emergency fund, and you keep filling it up.
Right. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much.
You can do it. You can do it. And she can do it. You guys are going to make it. And yeah, you're not, so you're going to have one more month of coolish weather, and you're probably going to survive it. It's pretty amazing. You made it for 6 years. So
I get like that about stuff in my house. It's like I'm fine. It's fine for 5 years, and then I see it, and I just can't unsee it, and I become a one-track mind. And you have to remind yourself, I lived with this for this long. We don't need this right now. It did not become an emergency yesterday because we decided, oh my gosh, the windows. You've lived with it. We're going into summer. You'll be fine. But sometimes you see something, you're like, oh man, you just fixate on it.
my next book is going to be called The Death of the Drama Queen. Because there's a drama queen that lives inside of every one of us.
You are just the guy to write it.
There's a drama queen inside of all of us. We all do that.
Yep.
What you talked about there.
Yep.
I've done it.
Yep.
I may have done it this week, and it's just Monday, right?
Yep.
But we all have this drama queen that lives inside of us. It's like, oh, God, the propane is just going out the window. We all do that crap, right?
Yes.
And once we decide, we fixate on it.
We do.
And there's something about this little child on the cereal aisle that wakes up and throws a fit.
I can't live with those windows another day. That's how we
And they
get.
live inside of us, and this little child makes our decisions. It's like, and we just have this little hissy fit. And that's a Southern term.
Sounds just like my
You
kids.
Yankees don't even know what that means. A hissy fit. It's like a duck fit. Those are two non-Yankee terms right there. But it just means your emotions got out of control because you're immature. I'll help you with that. Okay. Oh, my goodness. This is The Ramsay Show. Thanks for joining us, America. We're glad you're here. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Christy Wright, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Brandon is with us in Dallas, Texas. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I hope you haven't called anybody an idiot today, because I want to give you the first crack at me.
We are starting this strong, Brandon. I can't wait for this.
I've been listening for a couple years, and it's not too bad. But I think I should know the answer, but I just don't. I want to feel like I have like this unique situation. But anyway, I'm not a teacher anymore. I used to be a teacher. I taught for 12 years. I'm self-employed for the last 2 years. In these last 2 years, I've been making good money, but I haven't put anything away for retirement. And when I look at, what I've made as a teacher as far as retirement, it's just a little under $40,000. I'm not really sure how that works, over time, but I figured after 12 years, I would have a little bit more than that. Anyway, I bought some property, kept it for a year, decided I wanted to move to be closer to where I work for my new job. So I'm in the process of selling that property. It's worth about $90,000. And I have bought some property in the new city where I live. And so my question is, now that I'm making decent money and really I'm in I'd like to build a house in the future, but I'm kind of okay renting for the time being. I'm always worried about retirement. So my question is, with the money that I make from selling this property, should I, throw $125,000 into my retirement, or should I put that $90,000 towards, the new property that I've just bought and, try to go ahead and pay that off?
What are you making?
About $150 pre-tax.
Wow, good for you. Nice jump.
Thank you. And it's just cell phone repair, computer repair. So
good for you. Okay, fairly predictable then. That's good. Okay.
And that's one thing that I'm worried about, though, because I'm wondering, with how technology changes, that's what I'm kind of worried about.
Nothing is forever. It's okay.
Right.
You're gonna stay on top of it, and you're gonna find something else to work on, as whatever you're working on isn't there anymore. We don't work on toasters anymore, but we used to.
Yes, sir.
And you'll find something else to work on. The guys that used to work on toasters work on cell phones now. So you're going to be fine. You're the guy that's you're going to figure it out. So good news is you're making good money. So here's our rule of thumb. We work a thing called the baby steps. And baby step 1 is $1,000 in the bank. You've done that. 2 is debt free, everything but your house. You've done that, right?
Yes, sir.
3 is an emergency fund. Do you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, not counting this $90,000?
I do, yes, sir.
Good for you. Okay, then we're on baby steps 4, 5, and 6. 4 is 15% of your income should be going into retirement. You need to go to DaveRamsey.com, click on SmartVestor, get a SmartVestor Pro, sit down with them, start loading a couple of Roth. Are you married?
I am not, but I do have children.
Okay, you need to start loading a Roth IRA. How many employees do you have?
It's just me.
Okay, then I would look at doing a SEP as well, a simplified employee pension plan. And between that and a Roth, you can get 15% of your income going into retirement with a SmartVestor Pro, automatically coming out of your checking account every month, and it'll just be on autopilot. You want to think about it again, and you're going to retire with a lot of money. How old are you?
I'm 38, but can I tell you one more thing here?
Sure.
I guess my fear overall is that I feel like, I'm making more money than I've ever made, but my fear is, Apple or Samsung is going to make a phone that you can't repair or doesn't need to be repaired, and I may have to go back to teaching.
You're going to find something else to work on.
Okay.
In the meantime, you're going to save 15% of your income into retirement, and baby step 5 is you're going to start putting something aside for your kids, and baby step 6 is that you're going to get your home paid off, in this case, this land paid off. So that formula tells us that you're going to put the $90,000 towards your land.
Okay.
And you're going to set up these other accounts so you quit wringing your hands about the retirement. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Very few people become wealthy with single deposits. The vast majority of wealthy people did it monthly over an extended period of time. It was not a one-time hit. So when you get to 70 years old and you have $10 million, you're not going to go, it's because of that 90 grand. You're going to go, it's because of a steady life of investing. And I had to pivot my business. My business had to change and evolve because, I mean, back in 21, they had these things called smartphones, you know, back before we had the hologram, you know, or what, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Crap's going to change, right? And you're going to find something else to do and or a modification of what you're doing still within that field. When I started this business, the internet was not there. There was no such thing.
And the one thing I would add, Brandon, is let that change inspire you, not intimidate you. Let it inspire you to stay sharp on your skills and learn new things and be excited about what you're going to know how to do in 5-10 years. Not be scared that the world's going to move on and leave you behind and you're not going to have a job because you're working on these old phones that no one uses anymore, the toaster in this example. Don't look at it like that. You can look at this and let it inspire you of like, hey, I'm going to stay on the cutting edge of what's going on.
You could be the first guy that works on the brand new X or the brand new Y because you're looking for that because you know that 10 years from now you're not working on a smartphone. I'm 1,000% sure of that.
Well, thank you for the advice. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's how I would do it. That's exactly what I would do. I think your business is as stable as your ability to continue to innovate.
Yep.
And that's everybody, by the way.
And it's not going to be the rug pulled out from underneath you, most likely. It's going to be incremental. You're going to learn as you go, like you did to get to this point. Yeah.
Yeah, very few businesses do you just walk, unless you have a single thing with a single product. Now, if you bet your life on Apple, you could get screwed.
Yeah.
If you bet your life on Google, you could get screwed. Bet your life on Facebook, you could get screwed. So don't have a business model that allows yourself to be completely vulnerable to any one thing.
Yeah.
Out there, any one vendor, a singular process. But, you got to have a diversified approach to it and a constant mind for innovation and the next thing. Yeah. But you got to have that in any business.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Any business. Yeah. Things are about the only thing you can count on is change. Marley is with us. Marley's in Redding, California. Hi, Marley. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I am currently out on maternity leave, and we have...
Yay! What'd you have?
Yes. I have a boy who's just turned 3 months, and then we have a daughter who is about to turn 2.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Man, you got a lot of noise in your house.
Yeah, no sleep.
They are both napping right now, thankfully. But my question is, my husband and I both make fairly good money in our day jobs. I'm a teacher. I make a little over $45,000 a year. My husband makes a little over $60,000 at his day job, but he also owns 2 small businesses, and so make a little less than $130,000 right now. He did just start a new business that could potentially make a lot more for us.
He makes 130, or we do?
We.
Okay, and of that, combined. 45 is you.
Correct.
Okay, so 85 is his. I got you. Okay, what's your question?
Yes. My question is, I would really like to stay home.
Good.
And we both kind of talked about it a lot. Right now, we're debt-free. We're able to contribute about $1,000 a month extra towards our mortgage and like 40% of his income towards retirement. But we won't be able to do those things if I stay home.
Well, that's not what we teach. We don't teach 40% towards retirement.
Correct, yes.
We teach 15% towards retirement until your house is paid off. If you want to stay home, you're trading kids for money. That's a good trade. What do you think?
Yeah, you're in a position to be able to do it. You want to do it, do it.
Make the decision to cut back on some things and make the decision for your budget to work and to stick to it. But, set up 15% of his income going into retirement. You'll be fine. You're going to be just fine. But don't go in debt to do it. Our scripture of the day, Isaiah 41:13. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Julie Andrews, the original Mary Poppins, said, perseverance is failing 19 times and succeeding the 20th. So I grew up on her being Mary Poppins, but I really, really like the new one too.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Mm-hmm. Well, it's not brand new. I mean, it was just a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Who was it, Kelly? Emily Blunt? Yeah, she did a great job. Yeah. I'm not cool enough to keep up with who's who in Hollywood, but she did. That was, and the guy that played Dick Van Dyke's role as well was, yeah, okay, he was fabulous, and I'm not even going to try to do that. But anyway, yeah, it was, he did a good job too. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It's a great old story. Open phones here at 888-825-5225. Stafford is with us in Charleston, South Carolina. Hi, Stafford. How are you?
Hey, doing great, Dave. Appreciate you taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
So me and my fiance are getting married in July, which we're very excited about.
Yay!
I've been following you since I was a kid. My parents followed your plan and passed on those values to me, and so I appreciate that because I've been debt-free since, out of school and been really just trying to stay on that. One of my life goals is to be consumer debt-free.
Great.
And so we're getting married, but she's got some credit card debt and some student loans, and so it's not a matter of if to pay off the credit cards and the student loans, but how to go about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got some cash saved up that we have to pay for the wedding, as well as we want to do some home renovations. But the question was, is it worth trying to settle on some of this credit card debt by calling and settling directly with the credit cards?
Is she behind?
She's not behind. She pays her minimum payment, but she doesn't make enough to.
No, they won't. They're not going to settle. If you're not behind, they're not going to settle. The only reason they settle is if you're in default, and you're going to have to screw up her credit to do that. So wait a minute. I'm sorry. I drove right by something. You're going to pay for the wedding. How much money do you have?
I got about $50,000 in savings right now.
And how much you spending on the wedding?
We're paying a portion of it, so we're probably putting $15,000 towards the wedding,
which leaves $35,000, and she has $37,000.
Right.
So when you come home from the honeymoon, you write a check and pay off the debt.
10-4.
No home renovations. I heard you sneak that through there.
He did, didn't he? Just to drive by.
She's starting to push the wedding back unless we get some of this stuff knocked out. So I'm a single guy living in a house by myself for a while. And so
yeah, well, I mean, we're not talking about putting it off for very long. You're going to have zero debt, and you're going to be on a budget together, and you have your emergency fund in place. You'll be able to save up for home renovations as your next goal.
Gotcha. So you're saying don't try to negotiate, just try to pay it off and move on.
Well, they're not going to negotiate.
Does she want to pay off this debt?
Yes.
Okay, because this is a we need to be on the same page with values and how we handle money in addition to paying off the debt. Because if you pay off the debt and she's still excited about using credit cards, you're going to run into this problem again.
No, absolutely. She's ready to get rid of it. She works for a ministry and isn't making enough to get above the.
So what do you make?
Payment, so I make $100 a year.
What does she make?
$500 a week in a side hustle. She's doing about $28 a year.
Okay. All right. And how much in whose home is renovating? Who are we moving? Who's your house, her house? What?
It's my house.
And what does it need? How much you need to spend on it?
Probably about $30,000.
Okay. All right. And so with $100,000 household income and no debt in the world, and you knowing how to be on a budget, and her learning how to be on a budget, and we both have one goal, and that's do some of these renovations, you probably can do them in a few stages. You could start almost immediately on the first stage.
Right.
And debt-free.
Yep.
Then you're making those renovations debt-free.
Yeah, I don't think the credit card company is going to settle with you when you're not behind.
I got you.
And I don't think anybody else is either. And I wouldn't recommend you put her behind merely for the purposes of settling. But I think it's real important that the two of you lay out a detailed... See, all I'm doing is, I'm not saying don't do something. I'm saying doing it in a very specific order that gives you the most money and the least risk.
Right.
That's why
that's the thing. Yeah. because I think we're on the same page in terms of wanting to get rid of it. It's not in. It's a good thing I don't know about credit card settlement. I guess it's a good thing that I don't know that. But
yeah,
I just was doing information and reading.
Well, you're trying to get everything done at once by paying less for the debt so that you can go ahead and start the home renovations, which is not a bad question to ask. It's a reasonable question to ask. But here's the thing. The reason anyone, like think about if someone owed you money, the only reason you would take less than what was owed is because you don't think you're going to get your money. And you don't think you're going to get your money because they haven't been paying. And so when you know, a lot of these companies that, for instance, they call themselves debt consolidation companies, they're not. All they do is put you on a payment plan where you start paying them instead of the credit card companies. The credit cards get behind, and then they settle on after they've destroyed your credit and put you into default. And so I wouldn't set out to destroy. I don't set out to build credit, but I wouldn't set out to destroy it either. Not when you have the ability to pay a bill that is legitimate. I would just pay the bill. And then I do my home repairs as my second order of business, which, by the way, your home repairs are probably all going to be done within 12 months. And a whole bunch of them are going to be done by Christmas.
Yeah. It's not never. It's just not right now.
Yeah.
It's in this specific order.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that. So, Christy, I've done that exercise a bazillion times with people that I'm coaching on the air here or otherwise. But Sharon and I had to do it. You know, I mean, she's driving one of these ugly blue, 1,000 years ago, two-tone blue Astro van. You remember those?
Yes.
Nasty butt little van. It was completely worn out. I mean, there was stuff growing in the thing. We had raised children.
Animals were making homes in it.
Yeah, we'd raised children in this van, and she's like, the business was starting to grow, and we had a little bit of money, and she's like, we need to get a Suburban. And I'm like, no, I've got this thing at the office. We need to do this thing at the business, you know. And we got in this big argument.
Yeah.
Are we going to do this thing at the business first? Are we going to invest in the business? Or are we going to buy a stupid Suburban? And, you know, because I'm like, no, I mean, we're going to grow the business. There's no question. No, we're getting a Suburban. There's no question. And finally, between the two of us, we're stupid, but we finally figured it out. We could do both.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of which one went first.
Yeah.
And guess what went first? We started with a Suburban, and then the next batch of money, you know, that came through, we used to grow the stuff at the office here.
Yeah.
And but you know, it's not no, it's just which is first.
Yeah.
It's not like no, you can't do this stuff at the business. No, you're never going to get a Suburban.
Yep.
You just have to decide the proper. Or it's not like no, we're not going to do renovations, or no, we're not going to pay off the debt.
Right.
It's just a matter of the laying out that order, and that order indicates what you value. And that's why you asked that question about what our values are.
Yeah, and I think also whenever you're seeing two people come together, they're getting married, they're so excited. One has brought debt into the marriage, one has been financially responsible, has no debt. You've got to have some of these conversations because habits have to change. It's fine, it's fine if you didn't have it all together before you got married, but you need to get on the same page so that as a married couple, you're making those decisions together about debt, about savings, about where and how you spend. And sometimes you have to wrestle it out, like that example. Matt and I have had plenty of those conversations of which comes first and which is more important, and everybody speaks into it. But that's why I wanted to ask that, because I thought, okay, if this is the past, that's totally fine. We'll make sure it's not going to be the future spending habits whenever you're talking about credit cards, that type of thing.
Yeah, we have to get in lockstep. Especially a newlywed couple, because it's the number one thing couples fight about, and it's one of the data points we find with the millionaires is that they, not always, but the vast majority of them, I forget the number, their spouses were on board with them. They were working together. They weren't one of them pulling the other one along.
Yep.
And they were, two adults making decisions about their future.
And he's going to have a lot better time, and she is as well, making those home renovations, being debt-free. It's going to be a lot more fun to pick stuff out and make decisions when you don't have any payments.
Not with credit card debt hovering over your shoulder.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That puts this hour of the Dave Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus. have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.